YouTube, we had a patch 2 days ago, and it had massive changes to the SMG gameplay. I'm going to teach you guys which one's going to be best for you. Let's go. So on Friday, May 7th, we had a big update change, which changed the stock's movement speed on the AR. So everyone knows there was an AR meta for secondary weapons. Instead of using SMGs, you just ran double AR. After this change, there is still a couple ARs that are in the mix, but we're not going to be talking about those today because I really do think the SMGs are stronger for 99% of people right now. If you are an aim god and like you can literally hit people directly in the head, the ARs might be better for you because you could just literally two-shot people in the head. It's not two-shot, but you can really do some serious damage up close. But if you're just a typical player out there, probably anywhere under like a 4 KD, literally, like I'm talking literally the best players in the game are probably the only people that can still successfully use those ARs as good as they were beforehand, because that movement speed was humongous. But they already have such crazy movement that they can get away with it, and then they already have crazy aim, so they're just going to hit those high neck to headshots consistently. So going forward, we're going to be breaking down a bunch of different SMGs today. So the SMGs we're going to be talking about here today, we're going to be talking about the Cold War MP5. I'm going to show you guys all the builds real quick of them. Cold War MP5. The Mac 10, which I'm actually going to change this to a no stock build because I think that's actually better right now. The Bullfrog. The LC10. And the MP5 from Modern Warfare. I think those are the best ones in the game right now. The PPSH could potentially sneak in after the buffs it just had, but we're not going to be talking about that yet. There's not enough testing done on it, and I really wanted to bring you guys some serious numbers today. We're going to be showing you guys all the numbers, all the good stuff, so let's jump into that really quickly here, and we're just going to kind of break down each gun one by one. All right, you guys, so we're going to be using True Game Data here today. I don't know if you guys have ever used their website, but he does so much awesome stuff with breaking down the exact stats for every one of these guns, down to literally bullet velocity, rate of fire. J-God uses this all the time. That's where he gets most of his stats from. He will do on test his own sometimes, but he basically is partnered with this guy. They do awesome stuff together. But essentially, let's look at these guns. So we have Mac 10, MP5 Cold War, MP5 Modern Warfare, LC10 Bullfrog. Just like we talked about there, I showed you guys the builds that we used for and implemented this data on. So first thing you look at here is fire rate. Obviously, the Mac 10 has an insane fire rate. I think that Mac 10 for me is probably my personal favorite out of this list right now, just because I used it so much beforehand. And like, yes, I might have used the MP5 from Modern Warfare more at a certain point, but like, I feel like this really fits my playstyle, and I'll get more into that. I'm going to tell you guys exactly which playstyle each one of these guns work for. And I think that's the main thing that you're going to take out of this video, because every playstyle is a little bit different, and I'm going to explain to you which one of these is going to work best for yours. So fire rate, obviously the Mac 10 is going to take this one, like it's not even close. And then when you get into the range modifier, Bullfrog, it just got buffed a little bit in this last patch, and I was very surprised from it because I already had decent range. But you can see this is where they really hit that Modern Warfare MP5 back in the original nerfs, because there was like 4 or 5 nerfs before they actually got it out of the meta, because this gun is so good, and it's still really good, guys. You'll see when you get down to the stats here. It's going to come out on top on a few of these. So the range really hurts here, and that's like the outlier on that one. But Bullfrog wins that one. ADS speed, which is huge for a lot of people if you're aiming down sights and all that good stuff. You want the lowest number here. They're almost all identical. You literally from 225 to 216 milliseconds, you're not going to know a difference. So this one, the stat's pretty much irrelevant. All SMGs really get aiming down sights really fast. Sprint to fire time. This is a big one, guys, because there's a few of them on here. Like, look at these two. The Modern Warfare, or the Cold War MP5 and the Bullfrog from Cold War, obviously. Humongous differences here. So the big difference on this one is we're running no stock on these. I'm even running no stock on the Mac 10 though, but that got nerfed at a certain point, and you can see the big difference here. That's almost double on sprint to fire time. So if you're caught in a bad situation, that's why this Cold War MP5 feels so good right now. So if you're running around constantly sprinting, the Bullfrog or the Cold War MP5 are going to be your go-to. And that's going to be for the aggressive players out there. I think we're going to see a lot of Bullfrog from like the high-end competitive players that aren't running ARs as their secondaries. We're still seeing some XM4s and AKs being used, but you're running an SMG, we're going to see a lot of those high-end guys running that just because of that stat right there, because they're sprinting around going for high kill games, and they're in bad situations consistently. So sprint to fire time, that's huge. That is almost double most of these here. So bullfrog, Cold War MP5, huge advantages in that area. And I think that's why we are seeing those guns really come out in that competitive scene. Tactical sprint to fire. This is huge because that's another thing. It's almost in the exact same way I just broke this last one down. Tactical sprint, you're going to be doing it if you have the effort to. Like, you're slide canceling, tactical sprinting, you're switching it, going back and forth, getting around the map as fast as possible. The bullfrog has a significant advantage still. And you can see here, this one's still pretty dang low. But surprisingly, the Modern Warfare MP5 comes back and does pretty well in that one as well. So, I mean, realistically, this is still way below. Like, the bullfrog, I think, is going to be the most competitive one at the end of the day, just off of these sprinting stats. Like, you don't want to be caught with your pants down when you're trying to go and kill people around the map. So, that's the big one there. Movement speed, you can see here. The MAC-10 is the fastest one with the build that we had. And honestly, I thought the MP5 from Modern Warfare is going to be faster, but they're almost all the exact same speed, but just slightly faster on the MAC-10. It's the fast boy. Then we have the ADS movement speed. So this is the big one where it comes to shooting and aiming and like getting away, strafing. You're basically strafing on these ones. So we have the movement speed for the MAC-10 being the highest, which makes complete sense because when you get aiming down sight with this gun, it feels phenomenal. And the other ones, they're still pretty decent. The Modern Warfare MP5 does very good in this one, and same with the both MP5s actually. But the bullfrog, that's where it kind of has its disadvantage. That's almost an entire half a millisecond. So pretty impressive on that. Almost none of these have recoil at the end of the day. If you really are worried about recoil on these SMGs, then you really need to go work on controlling your recoil, because even minus 15% recoil on this one for vertical, that's nothing. Like, you're really not going to find anything on these. And I think actually mine might be better. So there's actually no recoil on any of these. So we're going to ignore that. We're going to ignore horizontal because realistically, you're in a building. You should be able to hit your shots. If you miss your shots, it's most likely because you're missing left to right. Bullet velocity. So this is a big outlier here, guys, and why I think the bullfrog is actually going to be the strongest technically out of all these. It might not be the best for your playstyle, but if you break it down statistically, look at that bullet velocity. That is ridiculously different. 800 bullet velocity compared to the next highest on the MP5 from Modern Warfare at 671. That is humongous. If you guys don't know what bullet velocity is, if you ever like shot at someone flying through the air and you're like, why aren't these bullets hitting? It's because the bullet velocity is slower on some guns. And so say you're using the AMAX or you're using an SMG, it's going to be different. Every single gun is a little bit different on the bullet velocity. Look at that, is a humongous outlier. Like crazy. Like, you're telling me it gets over 200 more bullet velocity than any other SMG. So at range, it's going to have a significant advantage for tracking people. Do I think it's the best SMG at range? I actually prefer the MAC-10 in my opinion. But this thing, I'm a little bit more tested out, be playing around with it. I've been testing it a lot, using it a bit just to get really used to the build I'm using on it. And I don't know, man. I'm probably gonna be fighting over these two, to be honest. And honestly, you can use any one of these. I'm surprised to see the bullet velocity being so low on the LC10. To be honest, it just got a buff too, and I believe he said that this is all up to date. So right now, I'm surprised that bullet velocity is so low on that LC10, but it has a crazy headshot multiplier, so you can really do some damage from all ranges with that gun. And honestly, I'm surprised to see the bullet velocity on this one. But remember, on the bullet velocity on this one, we had the range modifier the lowest of any of them. So it's really going to be a rough one at range at the end of the day. But bullet velocity, huge outlier to the bullfrog. Reload time, this is kind of big, but kind of not really big at the end of the day. We have sleight of hand on this. Actually, I don't think I have sleight of hand on any of these. So we're actually good. So this is just base reload speeds. End of the day, if you position yourself right, that half a second, which it's kind of big at the end of the day, to be honest, especially if you're going from 2 seconds to 2.79, it's extra almost second you have to stall, but it's not make or break at the end of the day. And then you can see the mag sizes here. The LC10 is supposed to be a 45 round mag, but that's the only thing he doesn't have on here. So the stats are maybe just barely off on the LC10, but it's definitely one of the top guns. So Which gun is for your playstyle? The Mac 10 here is for, in my opinion, more medium short range fights. Like, it has a really good range, really easy to control the recoil. You don't have any issues on that. It also has a really fast kill time up close because of the fire rate. So overall, like, it is a great overall gun. If you're gonna accidentally have it out at medium range when you should have your AR out, you can really get away with it on the Mac 10. There's plenty of videos on my TikTok where I'm just completely beaming people with my Mac 10. So I love the Mac 10. It's probably my favorite and best feeling SMG. I would use this SMG if you're playing aggressive and honestly you find yourself just like wanting to kill people with SMGs more often. It has one of the best iron sights in the game with the gallantry blueprint. If you don't have that, unfortunately, that you have to use that thick one, which I really don't like. Kind of sucks that it's kind of pay to win, but it was on the battle pass and most people get the battle pass. I know not everyone can afford it, but Mac 10 would be for that aggressive player that kind of gets caught with his gun out a little too often. And I think that's me at the end of the day. And that's why I have absolutely beamed some people with the Mac 10. Next one, we have the Cold War MP5. This thing does crazy damage, guys. Like, insane damage, has one of the fastest sprint to fire times. And I think that's really where this gun at the end of the day is becoming meta. Doug is Raw is using it like crazy. He's putting crazy clips out there, people just melting with this gun. Really good headshot multiplier, which I wish it had on here for these stats, but we just have the base stats on all of these. But you can see here, I think it'll say headshot on here, won't it? Yeah, it says headshot on these. So headshot for the Cold War MP5 does up close 47 damage. Modern Warfare one does 49 damage. Only 29 on that one, 48 on the LC10, and then 50 on the bullfrog. 50 headshot damage on the bullfrog. It's kind of crazy. We don't want to break down too much more on this because at the end of the day, it's pretty similar. Hit your shots on most SMGs, you're going to kill people. But Cold War MP5. I think this is one of the most slept on guns in the game right now. Obviously, you're seeing a lot of people go back to this one because it is very easy to use. Just to compare these two next to each other, the Cold War MP5, I think, has a higher skill cap. If you're a really, really, really good player, I think you can get more out of the Cold War MP5. But the Modern Warfare MP5, it just has that, like, smoothness to it. Really good aim down sight speed, almost no recoil. Great attachments because they give like such good attachments. On this one you have like the monolithic integral suppressor, so you get 2 out of 1 basically. You get the agency suppressor and the task force on just at once, and then you can throw all these other great hip fire build. Like, I always run the 5mm laser on this. Some people run the tac laser, but I think with this gun you have to have that hip fire because look at how tight that hip fire bullet spread is. It's 2.2 pixels. If you look at these other ones, they're not even close other than the LC10. And I love it. I love the hip fire on it. It's just, this is probably, the MP5 is probably the easiest one to use in the game. If you're looking for an SMG and you just kind of feel lost, pull out this Modern Warfare MP5. It is the easiest one in the game. You can literally not aim down sight the entire game and you're going to kill most people. Like, no joke. Obviously, it is really good when you aim down sight as well. But let's move on to the LC10 here. These are both really good for like fighting inside of buildings. Like building fighting, I don't think you're going to find better options for the MP5. LC10, guys, I would probably say is going to be more for a person that has a really good aim. Crazy headshot multiplier, awesome iron sight, and honestly, yes, the rate of fire feels a little weird at times, but it's really easy to land shot, and it has a good hip fire like we were just talking about. So I would probably say the LC10 is going to be more for that person that has very good aim, can hit those headshots, and honestly, it does good at medium to short range to even very short range with that hip fire. So it's honestly almost as easy to use as this Modern Warfare one, but I would say you have to have a little bit better aim just because the rate of fire is just down a little bit on this, and it has a little bit more range than this one right here. So at the end of the day, when you're comparing these two together, because they're probably the most similar because you're using a hip fire build with it, you're picking like LC10 just has a little bit more range at the end of the day. So I would say it's a very good overall SMG if you're just like trying to get into the game and you have Cold War and you already have it leveled up, might be the move for you. I don't think it's going to be absolutely outstanding, like jumping out of the water saying, hey, you got to use the LC10. I don't think any of these are. I think every one of these guns are viable, but the LC10 at the end of the day is more for, I would say, that average player that just is looking for that gun that feels good to them. Test it out. It's going to really work great for you. Bullfrog, or great for some people and not great for others. But Bullfrog, statistically, this thing is out of the water right now. Like, it looks way better than any other one on paper. The only thing it has bad is not a great hip fire, which I don't personally hip fire a ton anymore. I mean, if I'm running the MP5 from Modern Warfare, I'm going to hip fire. If I'm going to hip fire with the LC10 as well. But the build I run on this is just aiming down sight build and great for movement speed. I mean, I'm really liking the Bullfrog. I'm pairing it with my AMAX right now, and I'm just playing super aggressive. I'm seeing, I kind of already talked about it, but competitive level players are going to be running these Bullfrogs in kill races. I think that is going to be the go-to, that or the Mac 10, and I think that's kind of what we're seeing already. A little bit of Cold War MP5 as well in there. Not so much of these other two, but man, I've seen a lot of people testing this one out. I've seen Huskers running it. I've seen Cloaksy running it. I've seen a lot of really good players starting to break this one out, and then even a lot of people are using the LC10. Like I said, all 5 of these are viable SMGs right now. Find which one works for you. If you don't have them all leveled up yet, whatever I just told you guys, take that to heart. Go use which one you think is going to work better for your playstyle, guys. So basically, we have just a quick recap. Mac 10, good for like medium range fights. Not the greatest for long range fights, but great for medium, short range. Cold War MP5, crazy fast kill times, good hip fire, base hip fire, does good job at really good in building fighting, along with the MP5 here. They're basically the same gun at the end of the day. Very similar. You get a little bit more range on the Cold War. LC10, great overall weapon. No recoil on it. Unless you're my boy Sam, you can't hit your shots with it for some reason. I don't know why. This gun is just a great overall SMG. Probably one of the best just to like entry level get into the game, and it can really be good for anyone. You have to test it out though. My boy Sam, I'm telling you, can't hit shots with it, and it is an absolute meme with our group. Bullfrog, probably the most competitive one here. I think it's going to go to the next, like, it's not going to be broken, I don't think, but it might get nerfed eventually. So that's going to be it for me today, guys. If you guys did enjoy this more breakdown of exact stats, all that stuff, telling you guys what's going to work best for you and all that. It's the first time I've really done this, so I definitely can do it better. Let me know in the comments what I can do better and what you guys want to see next going forward. Try to shorten the videos. Maybe it's a little bit long-winded today, but I appreciate the heck out of you guys. We have some really fun gameplays coming forward. Lots of good stuff. Keeping you guys ahead of the meta as always. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video. You guys know what's up. I appreciate the heck out of y'all. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and peace out.